Hello, I'm Mike Gorin, and welcome back to my perfect playthrough of Sonic Jam for the Sega Saturn. And after clearing all other Sonic games in this collection, including both lock-on titles, Sonic 3 Knuckles and Knuckles of Sonic 2, we're now finally ready to take on our final lock-on title, Blue Sphere. And I'll say this once, I'll say this again. There is a reason why I will never do a perfect playthrough of Blue Sphere. There are just too many levels, it's flat out impossible. No way it's ever gonna happen. How many levels are there? Well, there are 134 million levels and change. And I'm not gonna give you an exact number because it's super crazy and convoluted like that. So to achieve a perfect playthrough involves perfecting all 134 million plus levels of the game. Instead, I'm gonna do something else. You see those 134 plus million levels? They are comprised of all of these. What you see here are not rug sets that I'm thinking about getting for my living room. These are actually the 128 level chunks of the game, and worth noting, each column represents a different color palette from the original Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles. That ain't a coincidence, there are exactly 16 types of colors in the entire game. I'm not gonna bother chasing those. Instead, my objective is to take on 32 different levels in which I am able to acquire complete all 120 level of these level chunks. You see, each level in the game is comprised of 4 of these chunks. Some can repeat multiple times, sometimes all 4 times, which I will demonstrate at the end of the video. But by and large, there are exactly 128 chunks. 128 divided by 4 equals 32 levels for us to complete. You got that? So instead of completing every single level in the game, I'm just going to complete the relevant levels, in which I play through each chunk in the game exactly 1 time. And I'm going to do it in sequential order so that I can make absolute certain that I've actually done them all. So yeah, I actually held on to this screen for a long because I did not know how long I would actually take to cover this. But yeah, Blue Sphere is definitely on the list of Sonic games I will never do. And while there are plenty other classic era Sonic games that I've yet to cover, this is the biggest one that I'm going to talk about. So without further delay, and this is, alright. We are Grout 2, cut away. Alright. So, batch number 1, first batch of 32 batches consists of chunks 0, 1, 2, and 3. And thankfully for us, this is level 1 of the game, so absolutely no password is needed. So, side note, the chunks are going to be ordered from left to right, top to bottom, but I'm not going to cover them in that exact order necessarily. Instead, I'm going to cover the ones in the order most convenient to achieve a perfect playthrough. And it's kind of convenient that the very first level in the game, it consists of our very first chunk in the game. Unfortunately, all other levels going forward are going to be set into the millions. The tens, if not 100 million range. Tens of millions, if not the 100 million range. So, something else I should tell you is that sometimes the color schemes don't necessarily the color palette doesn't necessarily match the level layout, the color palettes you see from one of these 4 chunks. For example, this is based on chunk number 2 at the bottom left corner. I have no idea why. Maybe it's the bottom. Now, I would think this would mean that we would have exactly 4 or 5 different color schemes throughout this entire playthrough, but let's wait and see. So I'm mostly gonna go cover these in a counterclockwise fashion, simply because it's more convenient that way. I mean, the last batch of blue orbs can't even be turned into rings. So I just have to cover these. That's for chunk number 1. That's it for our first batch of level chunks. Chunks 0 through 3 and level 1 in general. Oh yeah, something else I want to do with this one is show off the max level difficulty. Unfortunately, none of these level chunks I'm showing are going to hit max difficulty. I will demonstrate a max difficulty level at the end. So this batch, based on the layout, doesn't seem to have anything too concerning. Oh yeah, there is one thing I need to worry about. I actually have to go in backwards. This is based on the third chunk. This color scheme is based on the third chunk. So I went backwards so I could collect those rings because you can't get a perfect going counterclockwise perfectly. Luckily, there's only one blue orb left, and we already got the would-be missable rings. The reason why I went backwards for those rings, though, was because the level... Chunk 5... If I were into Chunk 5, the last blue orb is on a corner, and you can't jump over a corner and attempt to reach and then turn that same corner at the same time. Alright, I got all the blue orbs, so I just need to make my way to the final blue orb that I left behind in chunk number 5. Yeah, that blue orb at the end was the reason why I went backwards for those rings. And if you want to keep count, there's 3 rings back in chunk 5 that you need to worry about. So this difficulty setting is 10, not bad. It should be noted that the lowest difficulty I found among all the levels, even though it's technically supposed to be 1, the lowest difficulty set I found was 4, which is Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And something else I forgot, you could change characters between Sonic and Knuckles. Unfortunately, you cannot do Tails or Sonic and Tails at all, it's just Sonic and Knuckles. Makes sense since this is the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge, and Tails isn't even playable in that game. So this is a pretty straightforward counterclockwise, starting with chunk 8. All 4 chunks there, so now I have to carefully navigate this region so I can nab all the rings without having to worry about backpedaling. Unfortunately, there is no or I guess fortunately, because this means we don't have to play this game more than once, there's no difficulty settings for this game. So it will steadily speed up. Just 2 more rings left. And luckily the last ring is in chunk number 9, and it's right here. Just a straight path there, and that's that. Honestly, this one's not too bad either. There's nothing too tricky you need to worry about outside from chunk 10 being a bit trolly with its maze. Difficulty level 6? That makes sense. It goes, level 1 is not. Oh yeah! I also want to rotate between Sonic and Knuckles every level. Because I did Sonic the first 2 times, I'm going to do Knuckles a second time in a row as well. And then from here on out, I will be rotating. As for this level layout, this is another one, fairly straightforward one, but keep in mind there are a ton of rings to get in chunk number 13. And I just might want to collect that chunk soon. It's a little tricky to see, I know. So I'm trying to navigate this maze. Alright, this is the only batch... Oh, there's only 3 rings for us to collect. We just have to find our way up to chunk number 13. There's a lot of blue spheres in here, so... Alright, we have one more ring left. Oh! Oh yeah, that's it. I had to get this. I saved this one for the very end because I was worried I would... this is back at chunk number 12. Alright. Yeah, I can definitely see difficulty be 9. So, that's 2 Sonic, 2 Knuckles, so we're gonna go back to Sonic now. This one. The only one I have to be weary of is I have to get the cluster of 9 blue orbs at the top right corner in chunk number 16. So I'm gonna go ahead and ball these rings now. So yeah, Blue Sphere is the only game I have any difficulty settings or extra game modes to play. Obviously makes sense. There's no time limit in these. In Blue Sphere doesn't have a time limit, so there's no time attack mode. And these already are special stages, more or less. So something I just noticed is all of these color palettes are literally the bottom, are just taken straight from the bottom left corner. Don't worry, if you saw my perfect playthrough of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you already saw all 16 different color palettes for these special stages. They are the exact same. Wait, 16? But aren't there 14 special stages? Base game, yes, but you can still access secrets. The secret 8th and 16th special stages in Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. And Sonic 3 and Knuckles, for that matter. The secret 8th special stages in those games. Alright. So there's 27 more rings. Took out the one in the middle. So now I'm gonna navigate this stupid ass maze so I can nab all the rings therein. All while making sure I don't get all the blue spheres first. Getting very dangerously close to... Alright, took an extra step so I could make that perfect. And not have to worry about hopping into that blue orb. That one's definitely a bit on the trickier side. Oh yeah, I forgot! There is a blue sphere finder on the internet. All you have to do is type in the chunk combination, the level number, or the password itself in order to find where it, to find the whole map layout for each of these stages. Or you could just type in the password and do it blind, and I'm gonna do this one with Knuckles now. There's really no advantage between doing that as Sonic or as Knuckles. They are effectively the exact same character. So, another one that's pretty straightforward, left to right, counterclockwise from chunk 20 onwards. I'm not the biggest fan of this maze design. That you just have to do. You have to play through the whole maze just to nab every single ring as well as the corresponding blue spheres. I have to do something similar right now. That's why I'm skipping those blue ones. Just so I can make sure I'm following a path and I don't miss any. Especially these layer levels are gonna get a lot trickier. Some of these layer chunks are gonna get a lot trickier from here on out. Not knowing where you missed a ring or a blue sphere can be a nightmare, especially as the stage keeps speeding up. Everything is basically in a straightforward order. So you see all those oval auras on the bottom HUD, and that's definitely, yeah, most of these are in the tens of millions of categories, with a few in the 100 million. In this level, for chunks 24 through 27, I'm gonna switch back to Sonic. And yes, I am definitely good. This is another straightforward counterclockwise one, though there are a few tricky spots that we need to keep in mind, especially where chunk 26 is concerned. Yeah, I'm just gotta take care of these blue spheres first. How do I get all of these blue spheres? Well, that's how. The first one I had walking backwards to get because otherwise the alternative would be trying to hop over all of them. Figured it'd be easier just to walk in backwards than to go straight forward. So yeah. Yeah. Keep track of chunk number 26 for later, because we will be coming back here later. So now, all these remaining rings first and foremost. Then I can go ahead and have these blue spheres at my leisure. And that's it for this level. I believe this is chunk number 25, so as per usual, yes, this was the last chunk that I did. I technically went clockwise, though, just to make sure I got them all. Difficulty 12, I can definitely buy into that. Alright, Knuckles' turn now. 28, 29, 30, 31. I think I need to go backwards to get a ring. It's kind of hard to tell because these sprites are pretty small. I have to go in backwards. Actually, I just have to go in. So yeah, I'm actually gonna go in. Yeah, I'm going to go in backwards and complete chunk number 26, 29 first. And then I'm gonna do this. The reason why I went complete chunk number 29, went back to chunk 29 and did that first, is because of chunk 30. Sorry, chunk 31. There's only a single batch of 4 blue spheres there. It requires going through a maze of bouncing spheres. The white bumpers that you see here. Now, chunk 30 is quite infamous. It has by far the most amount of blue spheres and blue orbs in the game, and in fact, it is possible to type up a level that is entirely a chunk 30s, and there are over 600 rings and spheres to collect. That is insane. Why Sega would do this, I would never know. And I'm pretty certain that Sega did in fact develop this game. The fact they even thought of designing 128 unique level chunks and actually somehow was able to program the game to handle over 100 million combinations of these levels at least once. And that's the reason why I did this for last. It is astounding. That's neither here nor there. We still got them all, and I don't think the difficulty should be that high. Level 9, I think it's fair. So, Sonic's turn now. And I'm probably going to be doing this one in counterclockwise order, starting with chunk number 32, as per usual. I barely see any rings in chunk 33, that's why. And these chunks are also in a mostly straightforward path anyway, so... we just go down this path. this path. I want to jump over that one because I want to collect those rings and then make a turn afterwards. I think we're now in chunk 34. And I think I've only seen 4 different color combinations so far. I do believe they're all based on the color of the 38th. So yeah, I gotta skip over that last one. Very tricky to do, but I had to skip over that last blue sphere just so I could nab all the rings in this level. So, difficulty goes all the way up to Super Sonic. Level 12 gave us the Sonic & Knuckles title. Level 11 gives us the Master Emerald. Levels 2 through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 through 7 gives us the entire cast of characters, heroes and villains alike in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And 8 and 9 get 8, 9, and 10, I believe, gives us 2 of our animal buddies. This is another one I think that we have to do all of these stages in counterclockwise order. Now, here it is. I think this video should also provide us with the necessary evidence we need to prove why I am not doing a perfect playthrough of Blue Sphere. Why it's never gonna happen. I want to save these blue orbs, blue spheres at the corners for last, in case I run into them. That's why. That was a mistake on that was an error on my end, but I made the save. Question is, let me ask you, how many blue sphere stages do you think I would be able to perfect in the span of an hour? Not fully optimized runs towards perfect scores in all of them, which is basically tassing here. I mean, just play through and first trying every single stage in Blue Sphere. I'll give you to the end of the video. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about this one. This is another one that's fairly straightforward because chunk number 41 has that funny spiral pattern that we can thankfully save for the very end. We are actually going to do this one in... But I'm actually going to go clockwise here. That's mainly so I can skip all the way to chunk 43. and then 41. About like we are right now. I have to go all the way around so I could get this batch of blue orbs, this path there. Let's take care of this batch right here. And I can ride that yellow spring one all the way here, and that's that. Another chunk in the books. Another level in the books. Difficulty number 7. Interesting, that was actually a pretty tricky layout for me to nail. This one looks like another one I will have to go dabble a bit into the chunk number 45 first. Simply because that chunk ends with a cluster of 9. But yeah, it looks like I'm just going straight ahead. Counterclockwise fashion. I don't know what I see here. Anyways, we are now in chunk number 45 there. Pretty straightforward. Now we are entering chunk 46. Might be something in chunk 47. There might be something in chunk 47 that kept me from dabbling a bit into 45 first. Can only be made by waiting till the last possible second before jumping in order to jump over multiple red spheres. And that might have been my strategy for clearing out 45. Oh, I see! It's because there was a blue sphere in the middle of surrounded by red spheres, that's why. Difficulty level 9, can sort of buy into that. Alright, this one took me forever to figure out. It has to do with chunk number 50. And you see that cluster with 9 blue spheres inside a 5x5 grid of red spheres? In chunk 51, that's the bottom right corner. Because I was unable to figure out why I was able to get the perfect to this one. I was always one ring short. I figured out the solution. Generally, when you have a bunch of blue orbs inside a huge cluster of red orbs, you get as close to the core as possible to turn all but a couple of spheres into rings. And that's your ring count. That's gonna happen with those 4 blue orbs inside the 4x4 red orbs. So how? You cut through the middle of this 5x5. That's how you turn them all into rings, and that was where my missing ring was from. I was only getting 24 previously, and now I was able to get 25. I should be able to get the count now. turn every ring but the one red ring I ignored. This one isn't escapable, unfortunately, because there's no down the middle, so to speak. Jump in this so I can get all these in one go, and it's very, very straightforward. Yeah, once you figure out the riddle with chunk number 51, this level is pretty easy, but it was yeah, these layer chunks are starting to become a bit puzzling to try to figure out. A lot of these require that you go backwards a bit by bouncing off a white spring sphere. And then this one. I don't know what it is about chunk number 53. It's been I've been spending more time actually editing this just to give you these charts, these maps. I was not actually playing the game, believe it or not. So what I'm doing here is... Let's see if I can do this in. So I have to jump over that yellow spring just so I can. And then walk backwards. I go with some sort of flex just to make my way to... What's this? Cluster... Chunk number 55, I think? Oh wait, I've seen two different color palettes so far. Oh yeah, I was just navigating this column, just dabbing everything I can before getting to that cluster of blue. So that was my strategy. Not too hard, though there are some definitely tricky spots where chunk number 53 is concerned, but everything else was pretty easy. Difficulty level 8? Okay, I guess. Alright, another one where I basically just go counterclockwise, it looks like. I don't see any rings on these maps, so it's very tricky to spot where they are. Backwards so I could get those rings. Just want to go backwards so I could get that blue orb, safe and sound. Then I'm gonna follow the path through those rings. That will take us to... Looks like chunk 58. Which is mostly just about these empty husks of blue spheres, with nothing else in between them. Jumped over that so I could get those rings and continue on with the level. Yeah, you have a bunch of rings surrounding the blue spheres now. The two remain blue spheres now, so I have to make sure I nab them all first. Got them. That's it for this one. Difficulty level 9 and... Alright. So this chunk is very delirious. I have a hard time seeing anything here. So yeah, it's another one where I just go counterclockwise. There's gotta be something there in chunk number 61, because I don't see any red spheres anywhere. Right, and try to navigate my way back to. Am I trying to navigate my way back to chunk number 61? No, I'm at 60. I'm at 62 right now. All right, so I'm where I need to be. This is chunk 63 now. Make sure I get all these rings first, and now I'm ready to wrap this up and send it home. Or not. Alright, now I was ready. Oh yeah, I can just barely see those final 2 blue orbs in the top right corner. Difficulty level 10? Okay. Sure. I don't get some of the difficulty choices levels for some of these. I think it's mostly based on 1 or 2 chunks. Right combination there, and so if you use the hardest chunk multiple times, you get the hardest difficulty setting, which is 13. Now, so far it looks like it's going to be a straightforward counterclockwise, because there's only a couple tricky bits in chunk 65. They're not impossible to get over. We are now in chunk 66 now. Oh yeah, we are now officially halfway done with the game, and with our objectives, so we completed 16 levels out of 32. So obviously, based on the time remaining, you can tell that we are not going to be able to clear every single level in under every single level in under 60 minutes. Honestly, if it took me that long to clear 32 levels, to perfect 32 levels in an hour, it still would be too long for make it virtually impossible for a perfect playthrough. Why? Well, because when you divide 134 by 24, let's say I clear 24 stages, so 24 times 24 is 600. Sorry, not 598. 24 times 24 is 598. It's over no, it's 576. 24 times 24 is 576. So imagine doing this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So 24 times 24 be 576 times 365. That is not humanly possible for anyone to object, because that's a superhuman that does not need to eat, drink, sleep, go to the bathroom, or get a job. Or work a job. At all. Yeah, that's not gonna compute. Alright, what am I looking at in terms of level completion? Chunk 70? So really, this is a pretty straightforward. There's no super tricky movements or combinations. I don't have to jump over a bunch of red orbs to get to a blue orb, at least not yet. But here is absolutely imperative I try to learn where all the rings are gonna be and where to pick them up before I done for the exit in chunk 69. Gotta save the best for last. Chunk 69 right here. There's 4 here. And already I can tell, yeah. I mean, the right moves there. So yeah, difficulty 6, I definitely buy it. There's nothing super tricky about it. Difficulty level 6 fits the bill. This one is probably gonna be one of the harder levels, to be honest. 72, 73, 74, 75. And yeah. This is another one where I'm gonna have to go backwards quite a few times just to safely navigate this place. Luckily, it's mostly just because there's so many of these rings that are just surrounded by red orbs. And it can be a little tricky to track down where they all are. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss anything. Let's see. There it is. And there's another ring that I missed. There's barely any rings, barely any orbs, but they are like scattered in the most inconvenient locations imaginable. And the reason why I don't just turn around right away is because you have to, without a spring sphere, a spring to bounce off of, you can't not turn yourself around without running into any blue orbs, and I literally had to bounce off a spring while trying to avoid the red ones. This is definitely one of the most deviously nightmarish ones in the whole game. Alright, we need 3 more. Okay, we found... Alright, we're good. We're back at number 73. Oh, good to know that I didn't miss any. It's very difficult to tell because if you miss any, because it's just a sea of red in this particular level. 6? Difficulty of 6? That is insane. There's no way it's that easy. Alright, at the 50-minute mark. I can definitely save 77 for last, because I just see 3 solo blue spheres lined up nice and perfectly. I just have to make sure to have the rings at the end of those. So it makes sense to just continue doing the counterclockwise train. Now we're in chunk number 78. So yeah, there are 4 different very tricky jumps to make here. Unfortunately, this is when I nearly screwed the pooch, because I had gotten lost, confused, and discombobulated. Chunk 78. Luckily, there are still these rings for me to collect, so I'll be able to find my way back. And speak of the devil. Side note: there's 3 clusters. Only one of them will not turn into rings, so we're good on the ring count. Alright, there's those 2 easy to miss ones. Just trying to find my way back. And luckily there's a ring guarding each and every one of these blue orbs rather than the other way around, so I don't have to worry about missing anything. 77 is really easy. 79 is a little tricky, but everything else is chef's kiss. Let's see how they measure this difficulty setting. 8? Okay. Oh, and this one is like the inverse of the ones where they only have 1 blue ones on the exterior, so I definitely know I'll be covering that one soon. And believe it or not, we're gonna be doing 83 last. Talking, I know. So this one leads to this batch, which is in chunk 82. This is another one with an insane ring count. So insane fact that we haven't even hit sub 100 yet. Alright. And this is why I'm saving 83 for last. It's because I'm going to prioritize getting these rings first. Because we have to nab these blue spheres in 83 in a very specific order, too. We can't just dive into... We have to start from a specific location, and we can't really go... And those blue orbs are not so easily accessible from within 83 itself, so I skipped the blue orbs in favor of these rings, and we already got all the rings here, so... Convenient spring was convenient, and now I just have to run across the perimeter until I can find my starting spot right here. And that's the game. That is chunks 80 through 83, and I'm gonna give myself the benefit of one more hour after this because I technically spend the better part of 3 minutes trying to explaining the situation on why there won't ever be a blue sphere perfect playthrough. This is as close as we're ever gonna get. That is humanly possible, anyways. Just do all 128 chunks in order. 4, 5, 2, 1. Second jump. And this is chunk 84 to start, so again, it looks like we are saving chunk 85 for the very end. We go down here now, and this is definitely an insane trick. Instead of jumping the yellow, we just want to double jump for those rings. Very difficult. And our count of blue spheres and rings are just about add up. We just have a few less rings, thankfully. I think we are in chunk 87 now. This last bit for the last bit of rings is gonna be insanely tricky. Oh, never mind. Just had to dance around this file tube for a bit while walking backwards because it's a bit more optimal than just turn my ass around. Difficulty 4, that's a bit suspicious. Okay. So 88, unless there's some rings at the tail end of a 9 that I cannot get through a straightforward run, I think I'm gonna be doing this counterclockwise again, and it looks like my suspicions were correct. Luckily, I think there's only 5 of them. So just a quick bounce after collecting those rings, and we're good to go. And the only way to do this is a little tricky, but I wanted to get those rings first, so... want to get these rings in chunk 80, sorry, chunk 90 first. So far, I don't have to worry too much about ring count. And this is fiendishly hard, as I have to make sharp turns and double jumps, basically all consecutively for this batch, and I'm thankful I didn't screw anything up. Probably would be a little easier just to get in backwards. Thank God I don't have to worry about doing that. Now there's 12 rings on the count of 4. I think I know where I had to make a leap of faith just to get that one. And that's it. That's all of them. Okay. That was why it was because of inch 89, that chunk in 89. It's like a straight line of blue, 4 blue ones surrounded by 2 sets of 4 reds. So I had a double jump, which is insanely hard just to turn them all into rings. And this one, I don't know why. When there's like a bunch of shit on the screens at once, it's very difficult to spot the rings. It does look like I've decided to do 93 first. And this is definitely one of the hardest ones yet, if not the hardest one that we've done. It doesn't look like it at first, since I'm just doing chunk 93 first, but then you have to realize it's not chunks 92 and 93 that are so difficult. It's chunks 94 and 95 that makes it so. So it's not too hard yet. Now I have to try to jump that so I could get all the rings here. And now there's a problem in that we need to jump over this blue orb, then turn ourselves around before we head to the red one. And that's not even the worst part. That's still chunk 92. 93, 94, 95 are the chunks from hell. So, grab those loose blue ones first, and this is the reason why! You literally have to hop over one. We need to bounce ourselves into those 2 blue ones. About the easiest we can get these blue spheres now. Try and navigate our way back to those loose rings now. The last loose ring is surrounded by something similar to last time. And yeah, I would not be surprised if we were near the top in terms of difficulty. But I also wouldn't be shocked if they gave us a level 4 difficulty setting for this. For some inexplicable reason. 9. Honestly, it's even more shocking that it wasn't even higher, because that one was nearly impossible to get. Alright, and this one, this chunk here. Honestly, shockingly, it's pretty straightforward. 96, 97, 98, 99, just counterclockwise. I mean, this one we don't even need a hop over any of them. Yet. You can see it might get difficult in 98. Might be. It looks like a straight line, though. Yeah. The only thing I have to do now is go back for this. Yeah, of course. That one would be a little tricky. And this one should be pretty straightforward. 97's not bad. I should be able to get all of the rings easily. Without having to worry about skipping over any. Yeah, we got another perfect. And now, we are in the hundreds. And by the way, if you want to know, I got 23 levels in 1 hour. So, obviously, no, there's no way I'm going to get 134 million plus levels in doing a perfect playthrough. That would take hundreds of years. And that's assuming that I play every hour of every day for the rest of my life. So, yeah, we are now in the hundreds, which means we don't have a whole lot left for us to do. Let's save a few of those blue orbs last, so I know which exit to take. Absolutely brilliant, and I just need to navigate my way back to so I could take Colin Cluster 102 next. 101's gonna be last. I'm gonna take on the routes that take us straight to the big blue sphere clusters first. We're gonna chuck 103 now, and yeah, that pretty much adds up. The last blue orb remains, just take us straight to the exit. But thanks to the yellow springs there. Might as well get the blue sphere first. And then we can get the last two. Very simple, very straightforward. Nothing too fancy. Hen? Okay, I don't recall any super tricky maneuvers though, but okay. Alright, this one is, we will probably need... Yeah, we can probably do this counterclockwise, as always. We want to get those rings first, and then we can make our way to chunk number 106. We want to always jump over the blue spheres in the middle in case we need to make a turn. So, that is a good rule of thumb followed. Just jump over when you pass them the first time. On these narrow paths. Especially if there are branching paths, because you have no idea if you will need to make a turn later on. Like I did just now. This should send us to chunk number... Wow, chunk number... Really? Oh, we must have did chunk number 105 before going back for those blue spheres in 107. That makes sense. I guess I would have swapped difficulties with the previous stage, though. 108, 109, 110, based on what I see. Looks like this is going to be another typical counterclockwise thing, but I might need to backtrack to 109 for some rings. No, I don't. I have to turn myself around after getting those 2 blue orbs, and then I can take the straight path. Alright, doesn't look like there's anything too difficult, but yeah, I still need to collect those stray blue spheres. Before moving on, there's 2 blue spheres to collect. And if you just go for them, there's no way to turn yourself around because it's all red. So you have to bounce into those, hit the yellows, and then turn your... Then hit 4, and then turn yourself back around. Alright, and I don't think there's gonna be something too surprising here. There's gotta be 1 ring in chunk number 109, because we are in 111 right now. Did not need to do that, but whatever. So just have to find our way back. There we are. The last blue orb is at the very end here, where it all began. So yeah, I knew there was some tricky movements we had to do with chunks 110, 109 and 110 in particular. I didn't need to do that maneuver on 111, I just did it to make things a little harder because I wasn't thinking straight. 11. I don't know, I don't think that was that bad. Actually, I can see why we need difficulty number 11, so I'll take that back. I think that difficulty same fits. So 112, 113, 114, 115, I think I'm fine just going. But there's a lot of backwards movements here. So I know this one's gonna be hard. By the way, you can tell if we're in the tens of millions if the first digit is gonna be a 1 or not. If it's a 1, there's a decent chance it's in the 100 millions. If it's a 2, or if it's anything 2 through 9, it's in the tens of millions. Very rarely you might get something in just 1 million. So we're in chunk 114 now, so we are going to make ourselves around counterclockwise. And jump over these. We hop the yellow sphere and every chunk has to have at least 1 ring in it. Alright. I think I snuck into the fifth section, so everything should be pretty straightforward now. I think. Alright, I just had to hop over a double jump over 2 reds just to get to this one. Again, some pretty tricky movements near the end, but otherwise not too bad. What's its difficulty though? Wait, this one, oh, 16 is probably gonna be responsible for that entire difficulty setting. As far as I think I will have to do that one first. Collect all the stray rings, and we need a able backpedal first, so we're taking this yellow that way. Hop over this, and I know I'm heading in the right direction. Now I have to backtrack, take it from the left, and head right. And that's where I needed to go. And the rest of Chunks 117 is basically the 4th special stage from Sonic and Knuckles. Chunky down, and then now we are in chunk 118, this one, 118. Now we're on 119, and this is kind of stupid. Obviously, the first 2 on each ends are not going to turn into rings. Well, that's fine. There are a ton of rings to collect already, so I'm not too worried about that. Alright. No, we were going the wrong way. We need to head north. And this is a bitch to sort out because we want to dodge the middle blue one that sandwiches these, or else it won't work, and then work our way back. And now they all turn into rings. If you touch the middle one, you will only get 2 different subsets into rings. There's only like a couple more blue ones left. So we have a batch of 9 right here. So number 117 definitely has a tricky section to say the least. So all things considered, not too bad. What's the difficulty setting for this one? Let me guess it's gonna be like 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, not too bad, but I would say that would have been a max difficulty one. Honestly. 6319. Based on these appearances, yeah, I think I can just keep going forward with the counterclockwise thing, but now I have to walk backwards because it sort of necessitates I go backwards just to get everything I need back there. Alright, so a super long path of blue spheres that we need to enter from specific areas. Luckily there is a yellow spring, a yellow sphere at the end, so we will be able to make it out of here. No problemo. I know there's a lot of backwards movements here, but nothing too overly complex. I think we're just... Yeah, we are in this. We are back at 121. No. Just have to bounce our way here, and yeah, it's pretty straight. This is mostly pretty straightforward. I don't mind the difficulty setting me on the lower end here, even though there are a couple tricky bits. Specifically in chunk 120, that might elevate its difficulty a bit high. Really? 12? That should swap places with the previous one. Anyways, this is the last one, and this is where I had a bit of a problem. 124 through 127 are the only chunks that you cannot do in sequential order. 127 is only programmed for the first chunk, 126 in the first 2, and 125 for the first 3. Chunks 0 through 124 can all be put in and slotted in any order. Luckily, this does mean we can do chunks 124 through 127 in reverse order, so it will still count for the same thing. So we are going to start the last chunk in the game first, and then end at 126 unless we need to go backwards for whatever reason. Doesn't look like we have a reason to go backwards. Yeah, because I see a lone blue sphere in it, so I definitely know I can do that one last. 127 is already a bit maze-like as I try to make my way to 125. Which I think I'm in right now. Straight path. But now this is the trickiest part with all those insane jumps. I want to take this blue orb first. Take the yellow springs, turn left, and then we take this set of blue orbs forward to 126. Lots of double jumps into dangerous territory, so there we go. We can save this blue orb for last because it's by itself. Which means we can just take care of these last few clusters. And that is our last perfect as far as the 128 cluster challenge is concerned. And this is also the only time we get this specific color palette, I just realized. Since instead of being based on the color palette number 126, it's based on 125. Difficulty number 10? I can get by that. But there's still one more challenge to go, and that is to clear any level on the maximum difficulty setting. Thankfully, I know one of them by heart. It's all 20 chunks, 26, 26, 26 to 26. aka arguably the hardest chunk in the game, according to the game. Because there's a ton of backwards movements you'll need to do just to make it out alive, and collect all the, not just all the rings, but all the blue spheres as well. Now I just have to make it back to... Because now there's just 2 more blue spheres left for us to collect. And we can get the last ring on the way there just fine. And it's all straightforward here. And that is blue sphere. That is every single chunk in the game. And we get max difficulty setting. And we even got one on the max difficulty setting. Let's see Sonic turning into Super Sonic. No Hypersonic in this game, unfortunately. Eggman era is based on its design if you got the bad ending in Sonic and Knuckles too, by the way. That is every chunk in the game. I might as well... And with all that done, we might as well just exit the game. Which takes us to the main menu. We have completed every game in the collection, as well as all the lock-ons. All we have left is our final game of this collection of Sonic Jam, Sonic World. Leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. With all the way, this is Mike Gordon, sign out.